Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater. And Disney Plus is a couple months away. And a lot of people are talking about it and not necessarily 100% in the best light. If you look at their lineup that's going to be coming out right off the bat, it does feel somewhat minimal considering Disney's vast library. Now, that does make ultimately a lot of sense why they're doing it like that. They want to piecemeal this stuff out. They want to make sure that people can, in fact, actually get access to the service, and they want to make sure that they don't overload the servers and that can do it. They can properly sustain the amount of people that are going to be coming in, because let's face it, let's be real here. That's going to happen. But one of the things I think is going to be the biggest draw is obviously Star Wars, as evidenced by the slideshow of images on the screen. Star Wars is going to be the draw of Disney Plus, especially for newcomers. Because if you look at what they're bringing out for Disney Plus in regards to original content, outside of Star Wars and maybe like the Marvel stuff, it sucks. Who here wants to see the stupid Lady and the Tramp live action reboot? Oh, I saw that image. Okay, whatever. Nobody really cares. Reboots of Home Alone, Night at the Museum, cheaper by the dozen. All the stuff from Fox that they're going to be looking into rebooting for Disney Plus, it just seems like a waste of energy, a waste of effort. No one cares. Except for one thing, and that's Star Wars. Star Wars is going to be ultimately what saves Disney Plus, or what at least launches Disney Plus to the echelon of what Netflix is. And I say that because we got the rumor today that Ewan McGregor has signed on for an Obi-Wan series. Now, Bob Iger has said that he wants to scale back Star Wars theatrically, right? Scale it back, make sure it's got the opportunity to kind of recalibrate, revitalize itself, and not burn itself out. And I understand the idea, I understand the theory behind that. And as a fan of Star Wars movies, who's enjoyed 3 of the 4 that have been released under Lucasfilm and Disney, I get it. I get the whole fatigue aspect, right? Star Wars fatigue, is that a thing? It's not. I've already discussed that. Star Wars fatigue isn't a thing because Marvel fatigue isn't a thing. Superhero fatigue isn't a thing. It's all about good stories. It's all about good characters. And it's all about the way that it's presented. The Last Jedi was a bad story. The Last Jedi was presented terribly. Solo took the hit from that. Even though Solo itself, story-wise, maybe wasn't the best, it was still more complete, congruent, and not confusing in some aspects, at least in regards to character motivations, like The Last Jedi. So when I talk about Disney Plus and I talk about the future of Star Wars, I'm being serious. It is going to boil down to what they bring to the table there. And it's actually the smartest move, is to kind of take it back to basics and rebuild the brand on Disney Plus. And they're going to do that with The Mandalorian. I think it's 8 or 10 episodes of, Jon Favreau produced, Dave Filoni directed episode 1 and episode 5, definitely. And him working on it, them working on it together, taking place 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, is going to be a time frame or a time where people want to see what happens. We haven't explored that time period yet. Now we get to a little bit, and that's going to be interesting. That's going to be fascinating, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And it looks fantastic if you've seen the leaked footage that came out of Star Wars Celebration. With D23 right around the corner, we're going to get a whole bunch more Mandalorian information like next week, and I'm freaking excited for that. But then you have Cassian Andor, and I did mention this the other day when talking about why Disney is going to start ending the First Order, because they just can't sell it as well as the Empire, and why Cassian Andor, which takes place, before the events of A New Hope, right before then, is going to give us what it's like for the Empire to be at its height, and what it's going to be for the Empire to be at the top of its existence, the top of the food chain, so to speak. This Obi-Wan series is going to give us a look into what happens after Revenge of the Sith, but not quite before A New Hope. So somewhere in that time frame. Keep in mind, it's that 19-year period between episodes 3 and episodes 4 that's interesting, and it's going to be the immediate aftermath of episode 6 that's going to be interesting, because those are the timelines people want to see explored, and that is what Iger is going to do. Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, Michelle Rejwan, now that she's in control of all the live action Star Wars content, they're going to slow down the movies, which I'm not necessarily happy for, by the way. I think that the movies would be great. I think people would go see the movies if there was a story worth telling. And I think they need to get to that point where they create a story worth telling that's going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end to tell you a saga. The biggest issue with the new trilogy, with the sequel trilogy, is that they just don't have that. Or if it's there, we don't know about it yet. I mean, that might be one of the biggest things working against it, by the way, is just the fact that when it came to the original trilogy, that was beginning, a middle, and the end. That was, nearly 40 years ago. People grew up with that. We got the prequel trilogy. We knew exactly where it was going to go. We knew what was going to happen in the end. Idealistically, what was going to happen in the end. And it was up to Lucas then to get us to that point, but the end point was still there. Now we don't know what the end point is of the sequel trilogy because it's been so poorly mishandled. And that is why I think that the brand is definitely not dead, but it's definitely injured. It's definitely on life support in some ways, especially with some people. And Disney Plus is going to be what ultimately saves it. Disney Plus is what's going to happen when you go and you take it back to zero, like I said, and you start telling these stories with these characters that people want to see. And you make them interesting and you make them intriguing and you introduce new heroes. You introduce new storylines. You introduce new villains. You have the opportunity to take it further and expand it further. And then from there, like a grassroots movement, it starts to spread. People start to talk. Oh, hey, did you see last week's episode of The Mandalorian? Yes, I did. Oh my God. Holy crap. IG-88 was insane. Like, I can't believe that crap that went down. And people are going to be talking about it. And then they get the Cassian Andor. They can do the same thing with Cassian Andor. People start talking about how great K2SO is because he's an awesome character. People are going to start talking in a positive, right? They're going to start talking about it in a positive. And that's what Star Wars needs. And from there, they start developing more shows. They start developing more content. They start creating more characters. They start making their own little, I don't want to say a cinematic universe, but like their own Star Wars verse on Disney Plus. And then that will then be used as a way to transfer over to the feature films. Look, they're going to go the Marvel route. Okay, that's not even a question at this point. They're absolutely positively going to go the Marvel route when it comes to linking Marvel Studios and the TV shows. They're going to do it because it just seems like the best course of action. Now, what's going to be done outside of the core trilogies, right? The anthology, the saga, if you will. I have no idea what they're planning with DB Weiss and David Benioff coming into a new trilogy. But I think they're going to start laying the groundwork for it very soon. They're going to start laying the groundwork for it on Disney Plus, and I wouldn't be surprised if it takes place during the fall of the Empire. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes place after the events of after Return of the Jedi. I wouldn't be surprised if they are developing a Sebastian Stan led or starring Luke Skywalker series. If they're working on an Obi-Wan series, if this is a true thing, then it would make sense to me that they might want to sit there and explore Luke Skywalker. And Sebastian Stan looks a lot like young Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's tweeted about it, and Sebastian Stan is already working with them, Marvel Studios, for for Winter Soldier, or for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I think that's going to be the next thing for him, because that seems like the smartest play. If they want, again, build it up on Disney Plus and then tie it into the films. Now, I don't know. I think realistically, a Luke Skywalker trilogy, not going to happen. But Disney Plus, it totally could. And I think if I were Disney, I would definitely want there to be a Luke Skywalker trilogy, because doing that to me seems like the best course of action. You want to clearly play up the original trilogy, play up those characters that people know and people love. Obviously, Solo was a bit of a miss in some aspects of it, but it's not as bad as people made it out to be. Giving us a solid Luke post Return of the Jedi, pre The Force Awakens, crybaby hermit bitch on an island, I think people would be very happy, and it would start to restore some faith in the brand, because then it's treating legacy characters with respect. And that's what they need to do. And they're going to do that with Disney Plus because they're not beholden to a $200 million spectacle that is going to be torn apart by critic. You know, they have the ability to expand these stories. And I think if Filoni comes on board and starts telling the live action side of things and really becoming a story producer on the live action side of things and being a director and being heavily involved, we'll see the second coming of live action Star Wars, but presented through television through Disney Plus, just like the Clone Wars revitalized Star Wars with some fans because of how they were able to then get the story between the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith and actually grow to love Anakin as a character and Ahsoka Tano and Obi-Wan and get these stories with these great characters and going on these grand adventures and then getting more of the gaps filled. Because at the end of the day, as much as you may want the Skywalker saga to end, and in essence, so do I. I'd love to see there be some more stuff. But there's so many gaps of time they have the ability to explore and the ability to play with. And I think if they treat it as respectfully as Filoni and perhaps Jon Favreau have treated it respectfully, more so than Rian Johnson and how he was handed the keys to the kingdom and almost brought it down by firing a trebuchet into himself, I think ultimately Star Wars can be saved, but it's going to be through Disney Plus. And I think once Star Wars is talked about positively again, I think we'll all be in a better place as fans because we'll be able to look at it and go, you know what? The Last Jedi was a bad movie. Solo wasn't the best movie on the planet. But when they really rehoned it and they took it to a medium where they could actually explain these stories and build up these characters and work with building an audience, because let's face it, at this point, that's kind of where it's all going. People are going to be happier with it. They're going to be more satisfied with it, and the brand will remain strong. And at the end of the day, that's all we want. Good Star Wars. And if you think about it, if you really think about it, Disney Plus is the best place for us to get it. Dave Filoni is working with Jon Favreau on The Mandalorian. So we already know he's working at the live action. We know he's doing Clone Wars Season 7. We know or Season 6. I forget which season. But he's working on it a lot. And I think that's where he's going to shine. And that's where fans want him the most. And I think that's what we're going to get with the cancellation of Star Wars Resistance after Season 2. Even though that was his show that he was pulled off of to go work on Clone Wars. A show that was heavily influenced by his grandfather being a fighter pilot in World War II. And, it's very personal. Obviously, Filoni means a lot to Lucasfilm. And Filoni means a lot to fans. And fans have been pushing for Filoni and craving Filoni to come into this position that's going to be kind of like, the chosen one. And I think Disney Plus, long-form storytelling, Dave Filoni, a large budget, and a dedicated, ravenous audience that is willing to take it on means that we're going to be entering into the new golden age of Star Wars, and it will be with Disney Plus. But I look forward to your thoughts. I look forward to your opinions on this. I really want to know what you guys have to say. I really, really, really do. If you like it, please let me know. If not, that's entirely fine. That's okay. I'm cool with that 100%. But I just want to hear your thoughts because I feel that we need to get more of those discussions. Anyway, if you guys want to leave your thoughts or your opinions, please do so below, or you guys can join up to facebook.com/groups/$3 Theater. That is my that's my Facebook thing on there, which I will fully admit I need to get more active. And if you guys want to join the conversation live, be sure to check out my podcast, Hollywood After Dark. It's a live show here on the channel where we talk movies, I take phone calls and answer your questions, and we just have a good old time. Anyway, I look forward to you guys coming on by. Have yourself a great day. Thank you again for watching, and peace out.